people here have had the experience of thinking about somebody, the phone rings and it's them. Who's had that experience? Quite a few people. Or what about the feeling of being watched? Anyone ever had that sensation? Yeah? The sensation that someone is staring at you. Well, it can happen anywhere. In the street, on a bus, at the cinema, and according to some researchers, women are more sensitive to it than men. Even more spooky, supposing a stranger hundreds of miles away could enter your mind and see what you're looking at this very moment. Impossible? Well, you're about to find out, because tonight we're going to investigate telepathy, the transferring of thoughts from one mind to another. Let's start with an extraordinary demonstration from a Ukrainian professor. He doesn't speak English, but that doesn't matter because he communicates telepathically in a most astonishing way. Please welcome Professor Albert Ignatenko. And this is your interpreter, Felicity. Well, we need a volunteer from the audience to communicate with Mr. Ignatenko. Who's prepared to do that? Hands up, please. We're going to choose you, sir. Yes, come down. Let's give him a nice big round of applause, shall we? What's your name, sir?
Phil.
Phil, okay. And have you met Mr. Ignatenko before today?
No.
Okay. What we'd like to do is just bring on a mat, because in a moment, Mr. Ignatenko is going to knock you over. Not with a physical punch, but with a psychic punch, okay?
Yep.
Okay. So what I want you to do is stand there and just look at Mr. Ignatenko.
Я сейчас подготовлю молодого человека,
I'll now prepare the young man,
чтобы его система нормально воспринимала мою энергию.
so that his system was able to receive my energy properly.
Please.
How do you feel?
Strange.
What was it like?
It was just like going off balance, just gently falling backwards.
Did it feel like someone had punched you?
Not punched, gently pushed.
You ever had any PK experiences or telepathy experiences before?
No, none at all.
Have you been hypnotized earlier?
No.
Ever been hypnotized before?
No.
I've got a few questions for Mr. Ignatenko. Mr. Ignatenko, how do you do this?
Как вы это делаете?
Используя пси-энергию, которая находится в организме,
I use my ki, my psi energy, which is in my organism.
And
Yes.
what's it got to do with telepathy?
И это чем? Это как это связано с телепатией?
с телепатией. То есть я послал определенную мысль-форму, и она мгновенно была реализована.
Because I actually transmitted my thought to him, and this thought was actually transposed into action immediately.
Okay, thank you to Phil, but thank you especially to
Спасибо,
Professor
господин
Ignatenko.
Игнатенко.
Thank you for listening. Thank you. In a room along the corridor outside this studio, we have another volunteer who, as you can see, is connected to an ECG machine, which for the last 30 minutes or so has been recording the rate at which his heart beats. In a few moments, Mr. Ignatenko's going to attempt to slow down the heartbeat by transmitting telepathic instructions directly into our volunteer's brain. He's no idea what's going to happen. It won't happen instantly because that could be dangerous. Now, I must ask everybody here to be very still and very quiet whilst we do this. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, не спешите, мне
Don't
Okay,
worry.
let's begin
Don't worry.
настроиться на него.
now.
I've just got to get switched into him.
Настроиться
Paramedic
на
is
его
keeping a
сердце.
close watch on everything. It's at 91. The heart monitor is certainly showing changes. It's slowing down. 83, 75.
84. Normal.
Let's stop it there, please.
Нормально.
It's now normal.
How is our volunteer? Is he okay now?
I'm fine, thanks, Paul.
Okay. Does he want to do any more, or
Я могу увеличить.
I could perhaps raise it.
you could raise it?
Raise it.
Okay. Yes. Let's do that.
Can we see him? Должно с ним произойти.
$80, 96,
89,
94,
94,
96,
96,
101, 104. Let's put it back to normal at 83. How do you feel, Malcolm?
I feel fine, thanks, Paul.
Did you notice any changes? Were you aware of anything whilst that was taking place?
In the first one, I definitely felt my heart slow down. I definitely hear it. The second one, I didn't really notice that much.
Was there any change in your mood or anything like that? Anything else you were aware of?
I felt my heart beating a little bit more powerfully the first time, but not that much the second time.
Even though it was slower, it felt more powerful.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you very much,
Спасибо
Dr.
вам большое.
Ignatenko.
Доктор Игнатенко.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. How on earth do you think that works? Leo Rutherford is a shamanic practitioner. What do you think about what you've seen?
Well, he's using the energy from his hands. We have a human being has 10 eyes, taking the spectrum much wider than visual. 2, 3, third eye, top of the head, heart, hara, 2 in the hands and 2 in the soles of the feet. Now, he's using this, which he's developed very considerably. And I can do the same and feel your energy.
How would people in their everyday lives have an experience of their own energy or eyes, as you refer to them as?
Well, rub your hands together.
Okay, do you want to try this quickly? Rub your hands together, yeah? Okay.
And simply feel, first of all, your own energy between your hands. And then maybe turn to a neighbour and try with a neighbour. And,
Okay, give it a go.
All you have to do is drop a little skepticism and just let yourself feel subtle energy.
Okay. Okay. How does this relate to telepathy, though?
Well, it's just part of extended sensory perception. We have so many senses that we've been taught by culture, education, religion, and so on not to have. And they are extended sensory. You know, it's not extrasensory. It's natural, but we've been taught not to feel it, not to see it.
Okay, for many people, telepathy means just being able to read other people's minds, which is pretty impressive if it's for real. I want to introduce Ian Rowland, who claims he's telepathic and can read people's minds. What exactly are you going to do this evening, Ian?
I haven't met any of the people here. You can vouch for that, okay? And what I'd like people in the audience to do is to join in by thinking of a question concerning your own life, your own potential, your own career, hope, love, whatever, and just concentrate on that question, lock it in your mind. Please do play along with this, whether you believe in this sort of thing or not, and we're going to try and demonstrate whether I can tune into certain people's thoughts and the questions that are on their mind. So, if you would, I'm a little bit nervous trying this under these conditions. Just concentrate on those questions, and the things that are important to you. I'm getting, somebody's concentrating on a very usual subject, which is money, and a pay rise. And I'm getting the name of Glenn. Somebody here called Glenn. This is, can we go over there?
Yes, sure, yes.
Can you stand up so that we can get a good look at you? Now, we have to do this quite quickly. Have you and I ever met at all?
No, not at all.
And I don't know your surname. You would think, let's concentrate on this. Your question was, am I going to have a pay rise? I can answer your question for you. You will. It will be sooner than you think, but not as much as you think. Bear that in mind. Glenn, let's try another test with you because I was picking your question up almost before I'd finished. Concentrate for me on your on where you were born. Were you born in Yorkshire?
Yeah.
Is that right for you? That says Otley. Is that correct? Is that where you were born?
That's right.
You're a very clear subject. Thank you very much, Glenn. Let's try with someone else. No. Oh, can I try another? Okay. Somebody's thinking of something a bit more to do with achievement. Somebody I'm getting the name Jamie, and somebody's thinking, will I pass my... it could be a GCSE, it could be a degree, it could be a driving test. The name of Jamie is very important. But I don't believe it. There's another person up here. Can you stand up so that I can see you? Your name is Jamie.
Jamie, that's right.
I want to clarify what your question was, because I'm not sure. What was your question?
Have I passed a degree?
I see. And, well, you have, but you didn't get the grade that you needed to do something in life. I'm sure of that. I want to... Can you try another test with me very quickly? Would you think of somebody, the name of somebody quite close to you? Could be a girlfriend, wife, somebody you care for, female name. Just say it very clearly in your mind. I'm getting Zoo.
Sue.
This is wrong. What's the name?
Zoe.
Zoe. Somebody's thinking about 6 months in the future. And the question that's on this person's mind is, where am I going to live in 6 months' time? Where am I going to be living or working in 6 months' time? I'm getting the name Mark. Where is this person? Someone else over here. They're all in one little clump. Can you stand up for us, please? Your name is Mark.
Yes.
Have I correctly tuned into the question you were thinking of?
You have, yes.
I have to do this very quickly because they're rushing me for time. Have we ever met?
No.
Mark, I want to try one last test with you because I have to move on very quickly. Would you do this for me? Let's try a test of the date of birth. I don't need the year. Just tell it to me in my mind. I want to do this for you as quickly as I can. What I'm getting is around the middle of the year, right or wrong?
Yes, right.
Does a 2 come into it?
Yes.
Would you tell everybody your date of birth?
2nd of June.
Can I show that? Okay. Is that right?
Very impressive. Very impressive. Ian Rowland, ladies and gentlemen. Ian, is it telepathy or is it something else?
Well, on this occasion, sadly, it's something else. I'm a con man, a sort of magician. I do psychic illusions for a living. That was one of them. Trickery, pure and simple. I'm as psychic as a teapot, I'm afraid.
Thank you for coming anyway, Ian.
Thanks very much.
Dr. Chris French, what do you make of that?
I mean, the thing that it emphasises for me is that we need to be very, very careful if we're trying to evaluate claims of paranormal forces, because clearly there are ways in which we can be fooled into thinking we're seeing something paranormal when we're not. The only way to properly test these things is under properly controlled experimental conditions.
OK, thank you, Dr. French. Animals are capable of many things, but they're certainly not masters of deception, which is why JT is of such great interest to scientists, because JT is apparently an amazingly telepathic dog. This film is a record of a genuine experiment at Ramsbottom in Lancashire, where JT lives with his owner, Pam Smart. She says that no matter how long she's away, JT always seems to know the moment she decides to return. For this experiment, she was out for 5 hours, while JT stayed at home with Pam's parents. For the experiment to have validity, it was essential that Pam had no inkling of when she would return. After 5 hours, the decision was made for her.
Right, oh, we've got to go back now. Right, so I've got to...
You have to get a taxi.
Right.
For the whole time, one camera was pointed at JT and another at Pam. The exact time of day was superimposed on both.
Okay, let's go.
So, right, go and get a taxi.
Yeah.
Incredibly, just 8 seconds after Pam decides to start the 6-mile journey home, JT moves to the window to wait for her. He does it every time Pam goes out. He's psychic. is Dr. Rupert Sheldrake. What should we make of that experiment with JT?
I think it's a good demonstration of the ability of the dog to know when Pam was coming home. She's done this many times, and many other people have dogs that do this too.
How does telepathy work, then?
I think that these things depend on links or bonds, in this case between the pet and its owner. And this link or bond is what I would call a morphic field. It's an invisible connection between them. When the owner changes their intention, when they decide to come home, the pet can sense that because the field is altered. And I think that's why we get this kind of phenomenon.
OK, thank you, Dr. Sheldrake. Pam Smart, JT's owner, how did you discover that he had this ability?
Well, my dad reported to me on a regular basis that JT went to the window at 4:30 every day. And then I, through an article in the paper, got in touch with Dr. Sheldrake. And then we started doing experiments, ruling out all these other things like routine and sounds of cars and things. And he's done it many, many times, and we're still studying him and lots of other animals as well.
OK, thanks very much. I want to come to Dr. Richard Wiseman. You're a psychologist. What do you make of this kind of phenomenon?
Well, I think it's important to bear in mind there may be normal explanations for this. For example, JT might be going to the window lots of times in the course of an evening, and we just remember or home in on the one occasion where it happens to coincide with his owner leaving or arriving back. But the important thing is that we run studies, we do investigations which rule out those sort of normal explanations and see if we're left with something which is truly paranormal.
Thanks very much, Dr. Wiseman. Probably the most astonishing claim for telepathy is that it's possible to enter the minds of people you've never met and who may even be thousands of miles away and literally see through their eyes so vividly that you can describe precisely what they're looking at. It's called remote viewing. And one of the world's finest exponents who's worked for people at NASA is sitting right over here, Joe McGonigal. Thank you for coming this evening, Joe. Is it really possible to see through someone else's eyes or sense through their senses?
Actually, we're not sure exactly how it works, but it is possible to report on the position or place that they're located.
And how accurate is it?
Over a number of times, about 4,000 plus times that I've been tested in a lab under lab conditions, I'm running about 25 to 28% of the time I get the target.
And that's a very good success rate?
Yes, usually when I'm on the target, I'm around 85% correct on the information I provide.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. A few days ago, we set up an extremely detailed and complex experiment to test Joe's remote viewing capabilities. It was designed by scientists to ensure that he didn't have any inkling of it beforehand. Only one person in Britain knew the details, and to be extra safe, that person was sent miles away before the test began.
Four sealed envelopes. Which one will he choose?
Number 4.
The die says number 4. The envelope contains the secret location for his part in this remote viewing experiment.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Joe McGonigal is on his way to a specially prepared room monitored by security cameras, where he'll be locked away while he attempts to demonstrate his extraordinary ability. He'll never be out of sight of one of our cameras. For the first time for anyone actually involved in the experiment, the site of the remote viewing is now revealed. Joe's used to all the paraphernalia. He's been tested thousands of times by US government agencies under strict laboratory conditions.
Right. Okay. Is everything okay for you?
Oh, yes. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a minute to 10:15. We'll be starting in a minute.
Accurate timing is important. The person transmitting must be in precisely the right place when Joe starts his remote viewing.
The person who's out there at the site at the moment. And you never met him before, have you?
No, I've never met him before.
This is the only information that Joe gets. It's something to concentrate on.
Okay. first impression that I'm getting is of what I would call an inside corner. And there's two light-colored stripes on either side.
Shaw Taylor is on the north bank of the River Thames, opposite a dockside, a power station, and a railway bridge.
What I'm doing is I'm essentially it's almost like tasting food. I'm just kind of reaching out there mentally and tasting things. I'm trying to concentrate on him and perceive what it is he's looking at. It's easy to get distracted and get information on a lot of other things in the area. I want to mix half circles with straight lines. My sense of it is some kind of a raised object, perhaps. It's starting to look a lot like a bridge, but I don't want to call it a bridge.
Okay.
I don't want to call it a bridge yet. Looks a lot like a bridge, but I don't know if this is a walkway or if this is actually a waterway. This could be water as well. I think the essential elements are vertical pillars or supports, somehow or another a going away perspective passes under this.
At this point, it's quite likely that he's stopped looking. That's what we asked him at this moment, so
yeah.
We'll go with that then.
Go with number 4.
He's on his way to the location to see for himself how accurate he's been, and to meet Shaw Taylor for the first time.
It's my pleasure to greet Joe. Oh, Joe, good to see you.
Glad to meet you.
Good to see you. I feel I've been talking to you for the past half hour or so.
Hopefully you have.
The moment of truth.
Water, you've got water certainly. Up here. Now, I tell you what is very interesting, because I know the bridge. And I was very much aware of trains passing over it.
Yeah.
So I must confess it is quite possible. I'm not trying to stretch it too...
I kept getting a great throughway with some kind of the arches or something at the end.
The incredible thing is that he could have described anything in London. A churchyard, a stadium, a park, a railway station, almost anything. But it was water and a bridge, just as Shaw could see it.
Joe, you go and remote view something that somebody's seeing miles away, but I'm told that you can actually remote view something before they've decided where the location is.
Actually, you can. It doesn't matter. Time is immaterial to when you do the remote viewing or when the person's at the location.
So what you're doing is outside of time, then?
Outside of time, space, exactly.
Thanks very much, Joe McGonigal. Well, what can you say after that? I hope you've enjoyed this programme on telepathy. Before we go tonight, let me leave you with this thought. Good night.